Hi everyone, it is Jenny Henderson from Chrysalis Business Support and welcome to the next instalment of what I am calling Self-Cocoon TV. As you know, we are currently in a period of lockdown and I didn't like the word self-isolation, so as I have a Chrysalis Business Support and Chrysalises have a cocoon, we have called this Self-Cocoon TV because I think it's much nicer. We can wrap ourselves in a little cozy blanket, look after ourselves and do what we need to do in order to come out of this situation with a transformation and become beautiful butterflies that we are all intended to be. And today I am delighted to be joined by a very, very good friend of mine, and that is Mr. Neil Davis of Sterling Networks. Now, Neil and I were working out the other day that we've actually known each other 9 years. Chrysalis is 10 years old this October, so I have known Neil almost as long as I've been running Chrysalis Business Support, and Neil's been an absolutely fantastic support for me over those years. We've become very good friends and we have a good conversation, we have a good laugh when we get together. So I am very pleased, as well as calling him a client and a support, a supporter and someone that I belong to the Sterling Networks groups with and one of his group leaders, but hopefully I'd like to consider that I am actually a friend as well, so that's quite nice. So Neil is the MD of Sterling Networks, started off as Sterling Integrity in 2011, and they ran business expos for business owners, and they did that from Birmingham right the way down to Bristol, all down the M5 corridor, and then from Swindon all the way across to Cardiff along the M4 corridor. And in 2014 they launched Sterling Networks and started to look at how they could add networking as part of their offering into the expos. And they launched very successfully. And now they have 18 groups running along the same corridor. So sort of down the M5 corridor from Worcester down to Bristol, and then along into Stroud and Oxford, and kind of within the West Midlands. And we are nearly approaching 300 members in the Sterling Networks. And I belong to two groups. I am the group leader of the Sterling Payers, and I'm a member of the Sterling Warriors. And I have to say I have thoroughly enjoyed my time being a Sterling Network member and also a Sterling Network group leader. So Neil, welcome this morning and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jenny. I was trying to think of some way I could describe myself as a butterfly, but I don't ever going to work as that. So I'm still cocooned, I must be. Thank you for
Excellent. Well, yes, but I know there's been a lot of transformation going on over the last 4 weeks within Sterling Network. So tell me, how has it been for you? What's been happening?
Interesting times. I prefer to call them challenging times. I think at the moment that one of the strongest words that I would put on this current crisis is resilience and acceptance. I think most of us have been around the block once or twice, some of us more than others. I'm thinking of myself, and certainly I've seen a lot of troubled times before, with recessions and peaks and troughs, and even going back when I was in the manufacturing industry to manufacturing when we had the foot and mouth, and we were supplying at that time all the various tourist centres around the UK and Europe, and that dropped off a cliff as well. But no one has seen anything like this in our lifetime, and this is incredible. So I think resilience is massive, and that's one thing that certainly with our network that I'm really recognising is that an awful lot of people have had to dig really, really deep, and massive credit to those people. You're one, I'm one, we've all had to dig deep. So resilience is a massive thing. And shortly after that, I think the word acceptance comes into it, because it's one thing to appreciate what the media, and my opinion of the media is not great at the moment. Some of the inane questions coming from media reporters is just beyond belief. I don't know what world they live in, but it's a blame culture. I certainly am not in that culture, and I've accepted where we are. I know many of my colleagues, you and many, many other people have accepted where we are. And therefore, once you get through the acceptance stage, resilience kicks in, and then you start thinking, hang on a second, so what are the positives? And I would far more rather focus on the positives and accept where we are and drive the business forward than I would focus and discuss the negatives. We all know they're there. No one's going to try and kid anybody, but I would just rather focus on the positives.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, what we've got 18 groups. We
Mm.
were all meeting face to face. There was,
Yeah.
it was a great environment that we were all experiencing and we were all part of. And within 48 hours, 24 hours, that massively changed. And all of the groups are now running online very successfully. And how have you found that change? What's been interesting and what's been surprising to you with that?
So Tracy and I came back from a Spanish holiday on March the 16th, and we're lucky to get out of Spain. It was the Saturday when the Jet 2 were turning around and going back in midair, and we thought, will we get home on the Sunday? We experienced literally Spanish police dragging people out of bars on the Saturday night because that was it. Talk about no-noses. They just drag people out of bars and restaurants, and that's it, you're closed. So Sunday was an experience. And then Monday was one of those days when Boris Johnson had said Sunday and Monday, when we were trying to catch up with all the news, that it was business as usual. So with my great foresight, it's business as normal. So my normal Monday email went out, business as normal. Tuesday morning or Monday night, Boris says, I'm really sorry, guys, but it's shut down. So Tuesday morning, fantastic email saying, actually, guys, yesterday I got it wrong. That was an amazing turnaround and was really surprising for me. And I think it was the shock. A lot of people, sort of the clever people will say that we saw it coming, it was in China, blah, blah, blah. But certainly it was something that was definitely over there and it wasn't here. And this is Britain and we don't have those sort of things. Well, we do, and we have, and it happens. So that was a surprise and shock. And that's where the word acceptance keeps coming into my vocabulary. But seeing how people have changed, I think it's, no one would say that this type of meeting, whether it be Zoom or meetings or any other sort of electronic device you care to mention, is the same. But people need to communicate. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the biggest things is that people's businesses are still seen and are being seen. And whatever method you use for that, whether it be mainly digital marketing is taken over dramatically, we embraced that anyway. So we were very fortunate that social media, website was all being done anyway. And we've enhanced that. And it's great to see people have embraced it. And certainly within Sterling, our attendance rate, ironically, is higher. So despite the people with families and pets and all the logistical issues they've had and Wi-Fi and everything else, I think people have been amazing. And certainly the attendance rate at our meetings it's been incredible. So that's how I see it at the moment. It has been a difficult experience, a challenging experience, but right now, 6 weeks in, we appear to be acceptance of where we are and moving forward.
Yeah. And I think, I remember running my first Sterling Payers that week, that Wednesday,
yes.
And running the group online. And not knowing how it would turn out. I had a suspicion that it would be okay, and I was confident that we could run a good meeting, but there was always that element of unknown. But my biggest overarching impression that I came away with was the relief from our members, the fact that they could do something which was in their mind still normal, of going to their networking meeting and actually seeing the friendly faces, seeing the people that they've been used to seeing, and knowing that that support network was still around for them. And there was that gratitude of, oh my God, thank you guys for running this meeting. It's really cheered me up. It's really helped me to, to just know that people are around me or we're in the same boat. And for me, that was a massive win and a massive tick in the column to say, do you know what? Yeah. We've got three types of network. There's the, our referral network, which is what we normally go to these meetings for. We're helping each other to find and give referrals. We've got an information network where we can go to these meetings to get good quality information through the presentations that members give or through speaking to the members about what's happening in their industry. But the third element of our support network really has started to come to the fore. During this time, because by continuing to being able to run the meetings, you have got that area where you can just say to people, oh, do you know what, could we just have a chat? I'm finding it a bit tough, or what are you doing about this, or how are you coping with this? And having that support network around you is invaluable, I think, in being able to run it. Because, you know, if we hadn't been able to continue to run things and see each other on a regular basis, you know, you would have felt very isolated as solopreneurs and as business owners sometimes. So yeah, it's been you know, I know from the members, it's been a massive thank you to you guys at Sterling for continuing and giving people the opportunity to do it. So it's all good.
Well, so you did run the very, very first meeting we did by Zoom, didn't you? So you got a lot of credit for that anyway. So, but you're right, it's about seeing people, isn't it? That it's quite an important point, that one, because as somebody that talks about digital marketing, a device like Facebook or Zoom or whatever method you're using isn't something that we ever have used before, because I'm a very tactile person. I love meeting people. I love pressing the flesh, as expression goes. And I love body language, and I love seeing people how we interact with each other. But given that you can't do that, this is a great second best. Yeah. And actually, there's many people that I feel, including yourself, that I feel I'm still seeing, even though I'm physically not in the same room as. And that even for me, that's really rewarding.
Absolutely. We were joking this morning at our Sterling Network meeting of all the new phrases that are coming out, that will be, you know, the 2020 phrases. You know, I think zoom will become a verb and go into the English dictionary. Will be the one of the new ones that will be there. You know, the zooming, we are zooming together. And I think one of our members mentioned that one of the top phrases used last month was, you're on mute. You're on. Yes. You're on mute. Yes. So all these different things are coming out of this situation.
Well, so on that subject, it's incredible, isn't it? Because we're in discussion at the moment, and it's only on the drawing board, about looking at running a virtual expo, which is something that I can't believe. But and we're only at the drawing board stage, but we've got a design company that are really keen to do something, and we're looking at the possibility of that. And to existing Sterling members, we've sold many second seats because of virtual meetings. Yeah. Naturally, it's half the price to be a member of a virtual group, and indeed, coming up, we've got our first ever proper virtual group that will remain virtual all the way through. And I can't believe the interest in that, because people realise they can maximise their time. And we all talk about time management. We all moan about motorways and traffic jams, car parking. We all do it, but it's a necessary everyday evil, isn't it? But with Zoom, we have got away with that. So consequently, people from Herefordshire are in Oxford. People from Oxford are in Cheltenham. I've no doubt that when we open Bristol, you know, people from Worcester will be in Bristol, and so on and so forth. So in that respect, that's a real positive, and it's a massive change.
Absolutely. And you know, again, it's about looking at those positive outcomes, isn't it? And looking to see, and you know, again, my mindset, I've said it a couple of times now, is people were saying, well, when we go back to normal, when it's back to normal, and it's like, what is this back to normal? There is no normal. The normal is how we are now, and how we are in the future will be the new normal. And there are certain things that we may want to take into that new normal, like the virtual meetings, like continuing an element of this, because it is helpful. It helps build our relationships. It helps build our network, expand that network across the different geographical areas without the barriers of time, distance, travel. That just enhance that. So you mentioned a couple of things there about what's next. There's some new groups opening in Bristol, some new Sterling, some new virtual groups that will be continuing. What else is next for Sterling? What's on the cards then?
Well, it seems ironic that only 6 weeks ago we were thinking about, will we survive? And here we are 6 weeks on, and not only have our existing groups been incredibly supportive and have run really well, but the plans that we had for this year were pretty extreme anyway. We were going to be travelling our business, and 6 weeks ago you're thinking, have I got a business at all? And here we are 6 weeks on, and absolutely we are, and we're carrying on with our original plans. So yes, we've got 2 more Worcestershire groups opening in May. We're looking at opening a Gloucester group at the end of June. We're looking at, we've got an association with Metro Bank, which we already have in Swindon and Oxford, and we're opening Metro Bank meetings in Bristol, Bath and Cardiff. which is incredible. We've got another Oxford breakfast, a new group launching in September. And that's just Sterling Networks. And there are multiple groups in those areas. So that's another 10 or 12 networking groups in the next 10 months, really. And apart from all that, we've actually launched a new brand called Sterling Advance. And Sterling Advance is a small element of networking, but is really aimed at the mastermind and the masterclass arena. Smaller numbers, so maximum of 12 in a group. The group leaders, if you call them that, are facilitators and are business coaches. And the aim is to take networking the next level. So as a very rough analogy, networking is generally about lead generation and making new contacts, excellence put into your CRM or your database or whatever you prefer to keep it. Whereas Sterling Advance is more about personal and business development. So in other words, you've got those contacts, you've got a decent business. What do I do now to improve myself and improve my business? And Sterling Advance is a natural follow-on from Sterling Networks. And I'm running that with my business partner, which is Mr. Alan Clark, who's my business coach as well. And Alan is looking after the facilitating side. We launched our first one only this week. We've got 3 more lined up in May. So we hope to have, at the end of May, 4 successful Sterling Advance groups.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hats off to you. So, you know, it's great to see and great to see so much activity. So, you know, hopefully we'll have a lot of people watching this video that will be, you know, pushed out and promoted. What type of advice, what challenges are the business owners that you're speaking to having, and what advice are you offering, or you would say to somebody at the moment about, you know, if they are having a tough time or if they're having a successful time, what should they be looking to do? What are the type of key activities that you think a business owner would be looking to do at this time that would help them get through over the next sort of couple of months and out of this situation whenever this lockdown ends?
Sure. Well, I've got massive empathy with everybody because I've been in a situation myself. So like I said earlier, I mean, I didn't know if we had a business or not myself, so I can put myself almost in the same shoes as any other business. All I would say is if you can, and try and forget about what the government are saying, and forget about people that are what I call the white noise, and moaning and groaning and saying, woe is me. We all know those problems. No one's going to run away from that. But my advice would be focus on yourself and your family, on your home, and what your outgoings are. See what you can do about trimming your outgoings. And that applies to both personal and business. Work with people. It's amazing how many suppliers we have that, just like us, had their income cut off in the middle of March. But actually, gradually and slowly but surely, you work with those people. Therefore, that maintains those relationships. And therefore, when we do have a change in our present circumstances, whatever that new normal looks like, who knows, and when it is, who knows. But we have found that people are only too happy to work with you. So, and do you know something? I'm going to say a really strange things now. Pick up the phone and call your customers. I mean, it isn't rocket science. We've got guys that help us out, group leaders. We've got regional managers. I've got a general manager. We are on the phone constantly. And it's not about selling. It's about how can we help you? And the power of networking always was about connecting people. And forgive me if I'm wrong, but the mindset to go into a networking group is always, what can I give? Because if you give, you're almost certainly going to receive. So if you're in constant contact with all of your customers and your clients, and even potential people, maybe you saw some. So we had a big expo and a big breakfast in February the 26th or whatever it was. Best breakfast we'd ever had, 150 people, over 200 people in an expo. And many of our exhibitors got great leads from that event. And yet, 2 weeks later, those very people that were great business leads weren't able to proceed. But I've told all our exhibitors and people that in that environment, if you keep in touch with those people, hopefully, and fingers crossed for them, they will have a business. And then the large majority will have a business. So keep in touch with people. And my biggest thing at the moment, bugbear, is when I hear people not turning up, not making meetings, not phoning people. That does not cost you anything apart from your time. And that's the one thing that many businesses that are really, really struggling they've got time. And it's amazing, isn't it? The more people you speak to, the more ideas come out and the more that happens. And do you know what? Our experience is people are so pleased to be talking. They are so pleased to receive that phone call.
Yeah.
And so if you don't already, I'm no business guru, I'm no business coach, but all I know is it ain't rocket science, is it? If you talk to people, they'd love to hear from you generally.
Yeah.
That's my advice. Do what you can.
Absolutely. And and one of the great stories from this morning from our networking group was, one of our members who's, he was looking amazing. He was fresh, he was happy. And he said, I've caught up on all the things that I was supposed to be doing over the last couple of years. And I feel like I'm in a position now where I can now take the business in the right direction. And I can be making decisions that are going to help see me through. And also how I want the business to look in the future, how I've decided that the business should continue and what we need to be doing. And there's so many great examples about how people have used innovation. And, as business owners in the SME market, we're extremely lucky that we can react very quickly, we can adapt and we can change.
Yeah.
And it's not about when Boris gives us the go ahead to get back out, that we drop everything that we've been doing over the last 6 weeks. I think it's a case of saying, right, how can I continue with what I was doing before, but I'm now bringing in this new element to the business that could take me as well and help get me to the destination that I was looking to do in a more effective way. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that, Jen. That is it, isn't it? That's where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. But I loved your 2 words. So resilience and acceptance.
Yeah.
I think, if you get into the acceptance of, this is the present. I can't do anything about the past. Can't worry about the future because it's not happened yet. So there's no point worrying about what's coming. Just be accepting of where we are in this present moment in time and do the best that you can. And if you can do the best you can in this present time, that's all that can be done. That's all that you can do. Then that's enough. And that will help to see you through. And it's about accepting the situation.
If I could just add one more thing to that, it's for goodness sake, take action as well. So once you've accepted it and you've got resilience, even if it is just picking up the phone and making that phone call, just make 3 phone calls a day or 5 phone calls a day, whatever it is, and keep in touch with people. And that's what I mean by taking action. We're not all in a fortunate position to do this, that, or the other. But this is about the very, very basics. But if you take action, something will happen. And usually the experience that I'm getting from people is that, do you know what? It's a good experience and good things happen. So that would be my parting shot. Take action.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Neil, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy diary, because I know how busy it is and what you've got on. So really appreciate you joining me today and taking the time to spend with me to record this conversation. And guys, I hope that you have found this extremely useful and helpful. I will pop all of the contact details for Sterling in the comments box below, but please do search online for Sterling Networks and see if there's a local group next to you to come along as a visitor and expand your network and meet some new people at this time. And again, if you're wanting to expand your network into other areas, down into Cheltenham and Gloucester, or up into Worcester, or to Oxford, or Swindon, this is the ideal time to be building your community around you and seeing how they can be there to help and support you moving out. So really appreciate it, Neil. Thank you so much for taking the time, and I will catch you guys soon on another episode. And
thanks for having me, Jen. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.